The only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters. We're going to bring you the news and reviews of your favorite brews. I am Wayne Baker, and I am joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
And unfortunately, as you may have guessed by now, our esteemed colleague and co-host Dan could not join us this evening. He was afflicted at the last minute bout of a stomach bug, but we will soldier on without him. But before we get into the topic at hand, we do want to remind you that you can follow along with Beer Busters on the internet. We are at Beer Busters on Threads. We are at Beer Busters on Instagram. We are Beer Busters Podcast on Facebook. On YouTube, we are Beer Busters Podcast, where there's lots of videos and other, well, I guess it's all video content on YouTube, back catalogs of content that you can check out. And of course, don't forget patreon.com/beerbusters, where you can sign up to become a patron of the podcast for as little as $1 a month. And you get cool behind the scenes perks like last call/happy hour. The archives of the punishment videos are available on there. Outtakes from the podcast, all other kinds of cool stuff, plus the warm and fuzzy feeling you get for supporting the show. Thank you very much. Check that out. Oh, and don't forget to go to beerbusterspodcast.com. And there you may also add /shop, where there is cool merch for you to buy. You've heard the pitch before. Go check it out. But today we have a returning guest with some new and exciting developments joining us on the show. We have
Adam Chamberlain with Cartel Brewing and Blending.
Welcome back to the show, Adam. It's good to have you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
You know, I was looking up the last time you were on the show, and I honestly can't believe it's been as long as it's been. It was episode 241, this being episode 264, back in May of 2022, which feels longer ago than I thought it was since we last talked to you. But I remember we had some really cool conversations around blending, and I also remember we talked about a duck sauce beer, among some other things. But you want to... Yes.
And freeze-dried coffee.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's all coming back to me now.
Yes.
Pretty sure you titled the episode freeze-dried something.
Well, I was just going to say, if memory serves, the title of the episode, actually, I just happened to still have it open here, was in fact just freeze-dried. Was the title for that episode. Adam, why don't you fill us in on all the cool happenings that have been going on at Cartel since we talked to you last?
Oh my gosh, it's like a whole other world since we last talked. The transition last year to this new gorgeous, beautiful space has really, it's challenging. It's so much work. It's so much fun. I wouldn't change a thing. It's incredible to be in a space that I spent a reasonable amount of time back in the day, you know, when they started out and they had so many great beers and like so many conversations and great beers were had in this building. And I just feel like so grateful that we get to try to continue the memories made over great beer, or at least what we would like to achieve as great beer, always kind of filling those shoes. So,
and for those that may not know, Cartel is now in the former Hunger and Thirst location in the west end of Lancaster, which, yes, is an amazing facility. And those of us in the area have for sure had many, many good times in that building.
Yes, thank you, Steph. And coming from where we were and kind of the small beginnings that kind of happened partially according to plan, but partially according to the world being in a pandemic in 2020 and 2021. Being able to transition to this, I feel really encompasses the original vision for this that wasn't necessarily been able to have been achieved in the early days, but we were still able to get started and kind of work towards this and ultimately be here and wherever we go from here is yet to be determined, but we're pretty thrilled. And having a small team of like myself and maybe one or two other employees to 17 employees. I love it. I think it was kind of a missing link for me, is just like the human connection of like great people working together, working well together, of all different experiences and walks of life, and just kind of creating that culture that I wanted to see happen sooner, but was happy to kind of delay that, given the circumstances of the last 4 years. So it's really cool.
I feel like that space just now I realize it went from a beer bar to a brewery, so it doesn't seem like such a big stretch, but I feel like the transition to creating it, the brewery space that you've made it was so natural. You're sitting in the current brew space, which was more of like a market space, I guess you would call it.
Yes.
When Hunger and Thirst was there. And I know that you've taken the bottle shop and now transitioned that into a barrel room and utilizing that great kitchen they have there. What were some of the, I don't know, challenges or exciting things about tripling the amount of space that you have?
Sure. Well, I mean, the exciting thing was being able to create a larger, space that, I mean, really, like if I could pencil what I envisioned for like what, at least in the early years or for the beginnings, like what Cartel is as far as a space and a community space, like this space checks all the boxes and then some. Um, so, obviously it's great to have, a full kitchen, a really nice patio that could be a really awesome beer garden, um, a space to barrel age that doesn't take up production space, a production space that, I mean, we're at the place where we have the ability now to do 2.5 to 3 times the production that we did at our old space, and we're still like, it's not like super tight. Like we have room to do more if we wanted to. Um, and on top of that, we can host a lot more people. Some of the challenges, of course, when you scale a business that literally grows overnight to like 600 or 700% what it was doing before. I guess the challenge is making sure that, like, from a business standpoint, your overhead doesn't go 700 to 800% of what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're doing great from a numbers standpoint, but now it's just kind of, making sure that it's a tough challenge because, when all your expenses obviously go up. I mean, we have a great situation with our landlords, who are the Neff brothers who ran Hunger and Thirst and own this property. So we're really grateful that they chose us as the tenants ultimately, out of several other potential options that may have looked a little bit better than us at the time. But I think they saw, what we were trying to accomplish and saw us as the best fit for their property. And so we're really grateful for that. But it's almost like starting up again. It's like we just turned 3 years old. But it's a whole different world from where we were. So it's almost like starting all over again and kind of figuring out what the new normal is with, just managing a business from a business side. It's a whole different world. And part of that, is, managing expenses, but at the same time, like, we're really striving to be, a company that really, as much as we possibly realistically can, just cares about the team and the staff and the quality of life and the culture and the employees, and to the point of where, you hear that it's really tough to find staff, and like companies just have a high turnover rate, and it's tough to hear businesses struggle that way, but like it's also tough for me because I can't really relate, because we're in the place where, like, we have to turn people down. Like, people are coming to us left and right, like, can I work here? Can I work here?
Hmm.
Because, like, I mean, it's not a braggy thing. It's just kind of an organic thing that's happening. And like, yeah, I'm sure, things might change as time goes on and like, but we're doing our best to make sure that like we create a culture here that um is really welcoming to everyone and recognizes it and doesn't take advantage of the skill sets. I mean, we have a bartender that worked over 5 years at Monk's Cafe in Philly. We have a bartender that worked at our Tired Hands. We have people that have like really solid like histories and experiences involving beer and food. Um, and it's just amazing to have them all here um, teaching me about beer sometimes. I love it. Like,
Yeah.
I hope I'm learning till I die. And when my team is able to teach me something new, that's just amazing to me. I just really enjoy it. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling on your question and totally took a ton of time.
No.
No, that's
There's so much. It's like it could be like drinking from a fire hose at this point for you guys, but I'll kind of leave it at that. It's just been really great so far. We're figuring stuff out. It doesn't come without its challenges. Um, we're just really proud of where we are, even 4 months into this new space.
yeah.
Well, with expanding the brew house, do you have an assistant brewer now? Are you still doing all the brewing?
I love brewing and I will always somehow be involved. But I have a head brewer. I mean, there's
Oh.
days, I mean, there's been a couple times where he brewed without me. I mean, I'm usually here. I'm not trying to be too protective of it. I'm still going to be,
Mm.
I'm still going to like have some sort of a hand in it, but like, um, uh, funny. I mean, the story behind it is so about 6 or 7 years ago, I was brewing beer in my garage, still home brewing, and my next door neighbor comes over and says, "Hey, can we join you or can we come hang out?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely." And he introduced me to his son-in-law, Johnny, and Johnny was the head brewer at Odell Brewing Company in Fort Collins, Colorado. So to give you some, I'm if you haven't heard of Odell, if you have heard of Odell, they are a larger like regional distro brewery. They have the exact same brew house as Trogs. They were doing for a time a similar amount of volume as Trogs. I'm not sure where they're at right now. Um, and we kind of made that connection years ago. And being that his wife, is from Lancaster, and obviously his father-in-law is my next door neighbor. They had mentioned that they're working towards maybe moving to Lancaster someday. They don't know when that will be. And we kept in touch and we saw each other, on and off over the years as they came out to visit. And 2 weeks after we signed the lease for this place, I got a text message from Johnny saying, "Hey, we're moving to Lancaster in 2 weeks. Do you have a job for me?" And it was this kind of serendipitous,
Yeah.
like just perfect timing, perfect scenario. And honestly, it's funny because that's one of many stories involving this space that are equally like timing and serendipity, like kind of situations. So I'm still kind of like getting over the overwhelming emotion from all of this.
Mhm.
So they moved back. They're leasing a home literally like 3 blocks from here.
Wow.
And she got her dream job. She's a teacher. I think she's working towards her master's or her doctorate. And she really had a desire, she being Johnny's wife, from Colorado, um, for like Lancaster City schools and just trying to make an impact there. So that's what she's doing, and we've been able to provide Johnny with a very flexible work situation where he could still kind of replicate his living from a financial standpoint, but be very flexible with taking care of their 2 daughters, picking her up from school down the street or things like that. So it's a really cool situation of I'm kind of like, I don't care what your schedule is. We're going to get done what we need to get done, and it's going to get done. And doesn't matter when or how, if you have to work around your life. I guess, we just take I treat others how you want to be treated. And I try to do that as much as possible because like I've had a career, I've been treated poorly, I've been treated great, and I know what I like and I know what works for me. And it's not always going to work for everybody else, but being able to listen to those needs and accommodate as much as possible is important to me. So, so that's been great. That's kind of taken a lot off my shoulders. As far as other staff, so way back in the day, I was going to start a brewery with a guy named Brian, and I might have mentioned him on our last episode if we talked about kind of the story and the origins of this.
Mm-hmm.
And we homebrewed together. He sold me my first homebrew equipment. We were going to we brewed the beer that won that first place at the Lidditz competition in 2015. We did that together. And ultimately at the time he didn't want to kind of take the leap and do this as a career. Well, 7 years later, he's now my general manager. So it's kind of this, again, between him and Johnny and myself, I would consider that the leadership team for this place. And everybody has so many skills that aren't my own. And it's given me the ability to really just let people thrive where they are because I don't have those skills. So now I can try to, going from here now, where we are now, this very day, I could start shifting my focus on other things, just kind of the brand, the communication, the networking, the marketing, that sort of thing, while still being able to play with the brewing equipment whenever I want, supporting my front of house, back of house people through Brian. So I've learned a ton and I love it. So yeah, that's kind of again, I'm doing terrible with short answers with you.
No, that's
okay.
important for podcasting. Short answers are terrible for podcasting.
Yeah.
We're not
I can
writing
just
a news
keep
article.
at any given time. You can just tell me, "Hey, stop talking. We got enough content for for the folks."
For the next couple
That's
episodes.
perfectly fine. You take what you want. You edit it down. It's great.
Yeah, I do want to say it sounds like, it sounds like you're doing everything right. We've talked a lot on this podcast about people who rush into opening breweries right from being home brewers without like taking it slow, and that's not a good idea. And you were your hand was forced with the pandemic and everything, and with opening the business originally, but having that sort of runway before you moved into this new space. And it also sounds like you're just connecting with the right people, everything from the landlords, previously running the business, and also like choosing you for what you're doing, not for the economics of it. And then all these people that are gravitating towards you that are doing it for the love of doing it, and showing the good leadership of allowing people to fill in the skills that you don't have, and showing the flexibility. I just think everything you've said over the last few minutes is a great example of leadership of a brewery, but also just a business in general. And I just wanted to acknowledge and comment on that. I thought it was
I appreciate that.
very cool.
No, I'm still figuring out a lot of things. I'm stubborn about certain things. But usually that stubbornness is more tied to just standards that I have that I'm like, some business owners might say it's not economical, and I'm just like, well, we're just going to find a way to make it economical because like we're going to take care of human beings, and like, it comes at a cost, it comes at an expense, and it's challenging, but I like working through that. So we're going to keep doing it.
I have to say, as a consumer of your beer, I'm really excited about, what do you guys have? 24 taps there?
24 plus
the cask.
Plus the cask engine. We're looking at a second cask engine. One of the 24 taps is a nitro tap that's currently not being used, and we would
Shame
like
on you.
at some point. I know. I'm sorry. You know what? I don't even know. It's going to be so funny. Like I'm sure I could find this out in like 5 minutes, but like I have never messed with nitro taps in my life. I have zero.
Something tell me Johnny probably has at Odell.
Yeah. Well, there's something on the cask, right?
Oh yeah, we our English mild public.
Public.
I would like that to be on cask all the time, which means I need to get a second one so I could play with some of these other ones that we want to put on the engine.
It would be pretty tasty on nitro too. a mild on nitro is lovely. So, I mean, I've loved you guys from the beginning because you have Public. You know, any brewery that has a mild as a go-to beer, it's like you guys, Bond Place, like I freaking love it. But I really love the variety of styles that you guys are able to feature now with all of the taps. The lagers that I've had from the soft opening to the few times I've been there since then have been really impressive and really delicious. I'm always excited to go there and just know there's going to be several beers that I just want to sit and drink. And then, but you're still like our friends that love IPAs and love the barrel age stuff. Like you just are filling the gamut of styles and what people want. So I'm sure you're very excited about that. But was there also a lot of pressure now to have 24 taps to fill? Was that excitement or pressure? How did you approach that?
No, I embrace it. It's funny because, well, we are using some of those taps for guests. We were fortunate to have really developed a great relationship with the folks at Warwick Farm. We're one of the only places you can get their beer on draft other than the brewery and maybe an account or two in their general area. And they've been gracious to regularly send us a number of kegs. I just like what they're doing. I appreciate them. I want to support them. If it doesn't work out forever, that's perfectly fine. But I know there are people in Lancaster that appreciate being able to try their stuff without driving an hour and a half. And then ultimately, what I knew would happen was they would try their stuff and then make the trip an hour and a half to go get more or cans or visit them or have a great day at their property. I don't know if you guys have been there yet. It's a beautiful property.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And they bought us pizza when we recorded there. So they have a special place in our heart.
Oh, they're awesome. Ryan's great. Ryan has put me in touch with some great folks and allowed me to kind of achieve some of my goals now of starting to network and connect with more people across the state, just to have conversations. And there probably will be some collaborations that come from it, but that's not the goal. The goal is to just connect with people. And then the collaboration should be, an organic, meaningful, purposeful project, at least in my opinion. I mean, I know they happen all the time, but so between that and then we have a couple of things on draft that aren't beer. We have some cider from our friends at we rotate a little bit, but we've gotten a lot of great stuff, even some limited stuff from Plowman's in Gettysburg. We have Thistle Finch's Lavender Lemonade on draft. We have Jimmy Juice variety on draft as well. But honestly, we have beer right now. We had beer for like a week and a half that we didn't have a tap for yet. So like we haven't really had trouble like filling out the tap list. Like we have beers right now packaged, ready to serve that are not on draft. So some of them are barrel aged stuff. I couldn't justify taking up 3 taps with 3 very specific barrel aged beers right now. We have 2 barrel aged on and 1 in the wings for whenever we need it. So I love having that many taps, and it's kind of funny where we still have beer that is not on tap yet that's ready to be on tap. So, and we're about to. I pulled some from the tank. This version of our Firefly Tears Belgian Tripel is the best rendition of it yet, and I've just been enjoying kind of a little sample from the tank today. And so this is another one where I'm like, I need to carve out a tap for this somewhere this week. So we're kind of having that conversation.
That's amazing. What a good problem to have.
Speaking of taps, I was perusing the Instagram and I see Mugs Not Drugs. Cartel has Coke on tap, no longer in cans.
Yeah.
So is Coke on tap?
That was we recharged the soda guns that existed here in this facility, despite my best efforts to prevent it as long as possible. the customer's spoken, and we have listened, and people want soda on tap. And so we have Coke products on the gun. And my general manager made the joke of, we have Coke on tap, and I said, okay, that's fine. It's Coke products. It was kind of a joke. Mugs, not drugs.
Yes.
We're trying to, as we always say, redefining and reclaiming the word cartel for something a little more fun and take it away from the bad guys. And we are this year starting to talk to organizations that combat human trafficking and drug trafficking as potential recipients of a beer we're always working on that potentially will always be a charitable beer for combating those things. So that's been the challenge too. We've had the conversations of, do we stick with this name, and do we rebrand, or we might not be able to trademark it because of some other situations that have cropped up over the years with that name being trademarked for beer already. Every time we try to explore that and we ask for feedback, the customers come back. We love the name. Don't change the name. Keep pushing for it. It's challenging. Keep reclaiming that word for something better than the negativity that ensues from that word in the past or present even.
Yeah.
So for now we're gonna keep at it.
I love that.
I do too.
We're the beer cartel.
The beer cartel.
Mugs, not drugs.
Mugs, not drugs. I do like
There
that. We touched on a little bit the kitchen, and I just want to talk a little bit about some of your food offerings. If you have any favorites on the menu, I was perusing a little bit. Some of them look pretty good, but I also wanted to ask you what exactly hop salt is.
It's hops and salt.
Fair answer. Okay.
Exactly. I wish I could launch into another conversation about freeze drying. However, that's not the case. It is literally a specific salt. I'm not sure what they use because they're the experts, not me. And they periodically will come into the brewery and ask me for hops.
Okay.
And it's just a blend of hops and salt. We didn't invent it. I know Trogs has probably been doing that for years with some of the offerings. I don't know if they still do. I haven't been there in a little while. It's just hop infused salt.
What form of hops do they use?
It varies. We try to we actually it's a great opportunity where we'll be like, okay, we have 3 bags open right now that would probably complement the fries. We actually do a sense kind of a mini sensory process where we'll take some of those pellets and kind of explore what the flavor and aroma is of them. But usually we stick to like a Motueka or an Amarillo. We've done Galena, Calypso, some of the more earthy hops and less citrusy for that. So I mean that probably sounds way more impressive than it actually is.
Well, I imagine if you're using pelletized hops, it probably does not take much.
No, not at all.
Residue.
They'll hit me up for like 1 or 2 ounces, and I won't
give us 3 pellets.
Right. Yeah. And I won't hear from them for like several months.
Yeah.
So, they'll just make a big batch.
Yeah. I've definitely been to breweries. I know Trogs, did they do like hot flour, like the actual like cones sprinkled on the pretzels or something? I know
They
I've been to
probably
breweries.
did, because that's probably the best way to do it. But all I have here is pellets, and I would love to start getting more whole cone hops to play with for that purpose.
I know Chatty Monks used to put them on their fries.
Yes, I think that might be what I was thinking.
Yeah, the whole cone thing. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, and we also like part of when you talk about the food menu, back to your original question, like I always have ideas. I can always come up with ideas. I do love food. I love cooking. and I don't get to do it as much anymore. But I also try to stay in my lane because we have not one but two amazing, I call them co-chefs here, who are just like the best at what they do. And they're not even, their careers aren't even getting started. Like, it's just amazing to see what they're able to do at their age and experience level. And so I try to kind of give them creative liberty over the food, because I wouldn't want anybody telling me how to make my beer. So for the most part, unless it's like so extreme I have to call an audible, which never seems to happen. I just like to kind of, hey, here are some ideas, here's some things that I would like to see, like, but for the most part, they have kind of creative liberty to do what they do. The chicken cutlet's one of our top sellers. That was kind of a thing that I really wanted, because just I love that type of a sandwich, chicken cutlet, prosciutto, sharp provolone, all that kind of Philly hard roll. It just reminded me of home a little bit. Like, some of the bistros in Connecticut where I grew up were super authentic and just made some incredible stuff. And I never was able to find that experience here. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to see if we can recreate it as best we can, so that maybe I can kind of enjoy it once in a while. It's the funny thing is for the first month and a half, I was kind of, they would tease me because of how often I would order the cutlet. And they're like, oh, Adam's ordering the cutlet again. You ever going to try any of the other food? Well, it's so funny because, 6 weeks in, but now 4 months in, I can't remember the last time I ordered a cutlet, because there's so much great stuff coming out of that kitchen. And we still haven't done, like, one of my other requirements that I just want to make sure that when we do it, it's going to be done as best it possibly could, is, being from New England, I'm just like, I'm still trying to find like a great lobster roll that's done like Connecticut and Maine style, that has no filler and is just the way it needs to be. I know it's not going to be cheap, and like the customer base is going to have to understand what they're getting, and and that's who we'll market it to. The people that know, like, hey, if you're going to order a lobster roll here, like, you're going to get what you're supposed to get, and it's going to cost what it's supposed to cost. And I used to make lobster rolls where I took drawn butter and I infused it with different varieties of hops, and I used to call it a hopster roll. And I'm just like, hopefully we can launch that before people hear about it and start doing it themselves.
Yeah, we might want to cut that part out.
No, I know. I'm sure it's been done before, and I just want to see it done. And I'm sure when we inevitably do it, as the spring approaches and we start looking at, we're just trying to source the best product, like as fresh as we can get from Maine, working with purveyors of food from those parts of the New England, Northeast coastline.
Well, I think that's a genius idea, because whenever that Cousins of Maine truck,
they're great. They are great. They're the only place
at a brewery.
Yep.
If they're at a brewery, that brewery is packed.
Yep.
People will travel to go to find that food truck.
Cousins is awesome, and they had been posting up every other week in Lancaster at like Park City or some of these other places. I'm not sure what their schedule is in the last month or so, but I have visited them several times, and what they're delivering is excellent. They're getting it straight from the source, fresh. It's priced, actually it's priced better than I thought it would be, based on what they were able to do. So outside of them roving around the county remotely here and there, we're hoping to kind of build that, whether we do it like a couple times a month. I mean, if the business is there, we'll do it regularly, but obviously we want to make sure that we maximize the utilization of that product and not waste. So, we're having those conversations.
Speaking of overhead.
Yeah, importing lobster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not particularly a connoisseur of New England foods, but I do love a lobster roll. I tend to prefer mayonnaise. Is that blasphemous in your eyes?
No. So a Maine lobster roll is more of a cold lobster roll with a little bit of mayo, with the right amount of lemon, but you shouldn't get like lobster salad. It shouldn't be like celery and filler and carrots and like all that other stuff that you would get in like chicken salad or whatever. So a Maine roll in its most authentic form, from my memory, is just a nice little bit of mayo mixed with lemon juice, maybe some parsley or some green onion, on a cold roll served cold. Connecticut roll. I'm from Connecticut, so I'm kind of partial to the Connecticut roll. It's a slightly warm lobster roll, where the meat's slightly warm. It's served on like a buttered split top, kind of a Texas toast situation, and then you add a little more drawn butter to that roll. It's richer. I still like putting a little bit of lemon juice on there. But that's kind of the difference between, I would say the difference between Maine and Connecticut is like warm and buttery versus cold and a little bit of mayo. So you're probably more of a Maine guy.
Gotcha. See, I didn't
Nothing
know
wrong with that. I like them both.
I didn't know the geographical distinction. I do prefer New England clam chowder to Manhattan. I know that, but
Good. Yeah.
I also think it would taste much better to infuse butter with hops than mayonnaise.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would try that.
Like a hop aioli.
That doesn't sound particularly good.
Last time we were out at the brewery, our friend Ron got an order of the barley wine candied bacon, which I think Dan would be a very huge fan of. But the meat eaters at our table were licking their fingers and enjoying that. So that's got to be a fun appetizer, I guess. Is that appetizer or dessert?
It's an appetizer. It's kind of on the appetizer secret menu right now. We still make it for the Millionaire BLT. Again, not an original idea. I haven't seen it done around Lancaster at all, and maybe somebody out there is doing it. I just remember a time back in the day where, we'd go visit Tired Hands at the beer cafe or the fermenteria. It was the beer cafe that would do candied bacon from Lancaster, PA, and it would sell out every day because people just really enjoyed that as kind of a shareable thing. And I was just like, I experienced it myself. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. And I was like, well, why don't we try to do that here? And it's not like a wild seller. It's popular. But we also use it for the BLT, and that's a popular sandwich. So having a little bit of sweetness to complement the bacon, with the house-made jalapeno cream cheese that they do. Works great.
Jalapeno cream cheese. Yes. I don't like cream cheese, but if I'm going to eat cream cheese, it's got to have jalapenos in it.
I'm actually a bit of a cream cheese purist. I just like plain cream cheese.
I don't think I could eat plain cream cheese.
One of the cool things about the food program, that I'm really excited about is, we just did the first one recently, kitchen collabs. So you have a lot of breweries that do beer collabs all the time, and that's cool. And I'm just like, why can't we create a situation where our culinary team could do collaborations with other chefs and culinary teams? And so we had our first one, and it was kind of fitting that we worked with Chef Wilson, who was the head chef at Hunger and Thirst for like 10 years, maybe a little bit more, and a wealth of experience. So we accomplished multiple things by that event. We created a menu that was just amazing, and people really enjoyed it, and it kind of showcased Wilson, his heritage, his background, and the food that he was kind of passionate about, merged it with some of the ideas of our team. and our chefs learned a ton from him. Like it's just like it's a marketing thing, it's a customer experience thing, and it's a training thing all in one. From the first meeting with Chef Wilson to develop the menu, to the execution of that menu. I think it was just a great experience for everybody, and mostly our staff who, like, he's way more experienced. And they learned a ton, and they're applying things that they learned. And he learned some stuff too, I'm sure. And so since we announced trying to do that, like I'd love to do several more this year if possible. Like if we only do one or two, that's fine. But like 2025 is going to be kind of a let's try to get like one a quarter, or like maybe even one every other month or something like that. Because we've had like unsolicited inquiries from chefs and other establishments around the county, like, hey, how do we get involved with this? Or like, would you consider working with us too? And like, and so it's a little tricky to navigate because it's just like, okay, well, we can't work with everybody. Like, don't be offended. Like, we'll do our best. We want to make sure that there's a purpose behind it too, and like maybe there's charitable donations behind it, next time, or like celebrity chef type of, we're trying to figure out and navigate what that's going to look like. But I love the idea of it, and I'm glad that like we were finally able to do something like that. And hopefully we can build on it. So it was really cool.
Yeah, was it a ticketed event, or could people just make reservations?
And that's a very good question. We had ideas about how it should have been done. I just wanted to get it done and use the data for future events. We just made it it wasn't a ticketed event. It wasn't like a fixed price multi-course. It was, 6 dishes and like a side and dessert available, like a la carte. Mm-hmm. We did make 3 different reservation levels available, and we filled, we filled one of them and then half of the other 2, and so it was a very good Thursday evening response. In the future, we might want to consider doing a ticketed event, or like we're kind of evaluating how we would want to structure it. We want to try to make it as accessible as possible to people, but also, maintain the sanity of, our staff and kind of the execution of managing crowds. So, we'll see how we handle the next one, but yeah. It was just
I kind of like the idea of it being more a la carte. Like I've been a vegetarian for a very long time, so usually like beer dinners and food events are not like and not something that I can do because I usually can't eat what is available, or if there is an option, it's usually an afterthought. So the idea of being able to like check out something like that, and maybe perhaps 1 or 2 items would be vegetarian, or other people in the party might want to check it out, but I can still go.
Yeah. We did make sure that one of the sides and one of the mains were both vegetarian and potentially vegan option. Like, if we did do an eventual beer dinner where it was a ticketed price for multiple courses, the conversation was, I mean, it takes work, but we're willing to do it. Where all of the courses could be modified for everybody.
That's amazing.
Again, it's challenging. It takes more work. It might cost a couple extra bucks, but like at the end of the day, if we can within reason, and that's where, like, if we're designing a menu, we can design the menu. Like, we don't have to take something that's already there and make it harder for everybody. It's like we can design the menu where it's going to be as approachable for everybody as possible ahead of time. Without it, you could still make a good dish that you're not watering down anything by trying to accommodate, you, Steph, or anybody else that
accommodate me.
No, like, you know what I mean? So it's not as difficult as people think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
for
it is,
sure.
I'm just the stubborn person that's like, well, make it less difficult and make
Yeah.
it work. And then I
What
walk away and then they make it work. So
it's far less difficult now than it has been in the past.
sure.
There's a lot of really, really good plant-based options out there. My wife's vegan, so
Right.
I think the idea of having a menu of dishes that could be, for a meat eater, or the same dish could be made vegetarian or could be made vegan without like sacrificing the quality of the dish or like what the dish is supposed to be, is a super huge challenge, but a really cool idea. I really like that idea.
And we've had, some vegans reach out. Like it's not a ton. And I'm just like, it's that struggle of like, do we modify the whole thing for like 1 or 2%? And I'm like, I don't want the 1 or 2% to feel left out. We do have things that are vegan friendly. They're not a lot. I wish we could do more. We also tell people like, politely, hey guys, we have what we have right now. We're 4 months in. We're still going to work on stuff. We want you to be able to hang out with us. We love you. We have friends at Roots. They make great stuff. The absolute worst case scenario, grab some food at Roots and bring it over. And if you need plates, forks, whatever, like we'll you can bring your own food in. If we don't have anything yet, it might take a little while to get something in place that's really gonna wow you from that perspective. But please, don't let that deter you if we can find a way to support two businesses at the same time. So I don't know if you've been to Root or
Many times.
yeah, they're great. So,
Yeah, they have really, really great food. And they're right down the street from our town. So you can
absolutely
get a few
Yep.
things stamped off of your Lancaster County beer passport, get food at Root, go to our town, go to Cartel.
There you go.
How has that been? You guys, the passport is pretty new, right?
The Ale Trail Passport, this is the 3rd year.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. That's pretty new though.
But
Your statement's correct.
it's new. Well, and has it been the same breweries though every year? Like, didn't the
Nope.
new one just come out?
The new one just came out. Has 27 breweries.
Wow.
Obviously, Cox closed and Whacker, so they're not on there. But then we added several more that did open or moved into the county. So we have 27 this time. It's gotten bigger every time. So I think the first time we had 21 or 22. The second time we had 25 or 26. Yeah, maybe a little less, 23, 24. I don't know them by heart. And now we're 27. We're about to have a 28th member, but they obviously won't be on the passport till next year. So it's great. We already have probably a couple dozen people that already completed it for the year already.
Wow.
Last year we had 282 passport completions.
Wow.
And at least 400 who got to 20 or more breweries.
What do you get when you fill up the passport?
Last year was a t-shirt. This year is a really cool hat. I went with a corduroy, nicer quality material. It's a flat bill hat, but you can actually bend it. It's kind of like this. It's gonna have the theme.
Oh, I see you sporting the Odell hat.
Johnny gave it to me. It's really comfortable. I wear it a lot. It's so funny because he moves out here. All he's wearing is Odell swag because I'm like, his entire wardrobe must have been like subsidized by Odell. With good reason because it's all like Patagonia. And I'm like, well, why not?
Yeah.
So anyway, the hat, I did hats this year. T-shirts were a little challenging last year because it's like I want to make sure everybody gets the size that they need, and so we waited till the end of the year to get everybody's, to place the order for shirts based on the sizes that people wanted. And there were people that were like, that waited a while to get that shirt, and I'm like, well, we'll do hats this year so that upon completion, for the most part, you're handed a hat right away. And you don't have to worry about sizing or anything.
Yeah.
But hats have a lead. We're still waiting for the hats to come in, and we have like I said, probably at least 12 to 15 people that have completed it already for the year. So, we're still kind of making people wait for their prizes, but
It'll be worth the wait.
It's been great. It's a good thing to do. It's one of the biggest marketing campaigns for the Brewers Guild here. It gets people visiting all the breweries. There's always people that never knew half of these breweries existed. So now hopefully that turns into like repeat business for those breweries if they find something that they like, those places. It's just it's a great program.
Yeah.
There's probably breweries in that passport that have never been on our show too.
Probably.
We should
27 for Lancaster. I don't think we've had 27 Lancaster breweries on.
And you know what? There's technically over 30 breweries in the county. If you count Collusion, who has a tap room, Appalachian, Black Forest is not a guild member, but they're in the county. There's several others. So, Beer Hall. You guys been to Beer Hall yet?
I love Beer Hall.
Yeah,
I've been trying to work with their schedule to get them on the show, but I love German lagers, so
it'll happen. Oh yeah, I could almost walk there from my house, so
that's awesome.
It took me until maybe 2 weeks ago to finally get there. So that's how busy it is. It's just like, I could walk from my house, but then it's like, okay, well, my 3 children would rather hang out.
You may have to give Chris a nudge for me and say, come on, get on the podcast already. But yeah, we've been there for trivia. We've been there for dinner many times, met up with people for beers. I love that I'm not terribly far from Lancaster to like jump down there. And there's so many good breweries in Lancaster that you can easily make a day of it and just
get to Rooster Street was another new one this year on the passport. They're great. Josh comes with some great experience from some breweries in like the Richmond or the Virginia. They're doing some cool stuff there with like a little nano brewery. Hell in a Bucket is now in Lancaster County. They moved to Marietta. So I've never experienced their brewery. I don't think I've even tried any of their beers. So I'm looking forward to maybe trying some of that too.
There's some on this list I've never been to. Harvey's Barbecue.
Okay, so Harvey's Barbecue has made some incredible barbecue over the years. In a past life, they were a marketing client of mine through an agency I worked with. Food's incredible. They always would encourage people to bring their own beer. And in the age of Pennsylvania being a great state to manufacture beer in, they decided to at least get started with contracting recipes, so they could serve beer, so they have a license, and then maybe eventually they'll start small batching some stuff on site. I'm not sure what the plans are, so I'm not going to speak for them, but but yeah, their food's incredible. Cool thing about Mount Joy is soon, somewhere in Mount Joy, Brew will have a location very soon.
Oh, they're in Hershey, right?
They're in Hershey, yes. And so, you'll be able to do almost a walking between them, Twisted Vine, and Harvey's, and kind of hit 3 breweries in Mount Joy. I know Boobies is there, but they're not a guild member. I want them to be. I'm kind of trying to make that happen, but so Mount Joy is going to be a little tiny, hub for hitting up multiple breweries. It'll be really cool. And we just did that. We just dropped that beer collab we did with Brew.
I saw that on the gram.
Almost 2 years ago. I just like aging things a little bit longer. So probably a year and a half ago, we brewed that stout.
What, Neapolitan stout?
Yeah, we blended it with fresh pressed strawberry, vanilla, and cacao nibs.
That does sound lovely.
So it's like a chocolate vanilla strawberry bourbon stout.
Interesting. It'd be interesting to have one of each, like 3 separate beers. One that's the chocolate, one that's the strawberry. I know it's a lot more work for you.
And then blend it all together.
I mean,
and then do like a flight of the different ones, or
if anyone can do it, it's Adam.
Yeah.
Hollander Brewing Company. They're, I assume, not open yet.
They are open.
They are open now.
Opened in late September, early October.
Oh wow,
Quietly.
I am behind.
It's New Holland Coffee Company.
Oh yes, okay. I have been there. I knew there was a brewery in there. I just didn't know that's what the brewery was called.
Another one I always forget about that's on the list is Isaac's.
That's still so weird to me.
I know. I
the
used to
sandwich place makes
when I was a
beer
kid.
now.
I loved Isaac's sandwiches because there was one, in Wyomissing, near where
It's
I grew
still
up.
there.
Well,
Yeah, I was still there. Yeah.
the downtown location had a liquor license, and I imagine that they sold it for a reasonable amount of money and decided to invest in brewing equipment, and they brought in a couple of brewers, and they've made some great beers. They've gotten awards at the farm show for some classic style beers that are just great. I haven't tried all their stuff. I probably have only tried like 3 or 4 beers that they've made. But I mean, kudos to them for finding a way to still, serve beverages. Some they make in house, and some, could be guest tap or, Pennsylvania spirits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 2 breweries, I believe. They have one that's at the Lancaster location, and one I think is it might be in like a Harrisburg area or Lebanon. One of these outskirts, and then they have licenses for beer at Greenfield, which is off Route 30 by Costco, and then downtown, and then this other location that they brew at. So they have 2 brew systems. Yeah, so they're a brewery in Lancaster.
Yeah,
they know how to make sandwiches, so
yeah, I've never tried their beer. I need to do that. So I do really love their sandwiches.
They used to have that. Well, I don't know what the section of the menu is there, but the really big sandwiches, I don't know what they used to call them, but the vegetarian one was called the Giant Sequoia, and it was like one of the best vegetarian hoagies like you could get anywhere. And it hasn't been on the menu for quite a while, but there was a time that if the staff was still there when it was on the menu, they'd be like, yeah, we can still make that for you. But I think it's been too long since it's been off the menu, because you go there and the staff looks at you like, I don't know what you're talking about.
They have really good potato salad too. Red potato salad.
Now I'm hungry.
And pickled veggies.
Well, while we're talking about the Brewers Guild, I realize it is sold out, but I wanted to talk about the event you guys have coming up in April, the Spring Thaw.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun time, and I'm kind of bummed that I missed out on tickets, but
well, I could see if there's a possibility of getting you a press badge.
It also happens to be on my birthday, so I actually already have plans that day. So luckily, okay. Or I would take you up on that. But so how did this come about? And it's kind of like, I guess, a beer fest celebrating Lancaster County breweries, really, right?
Sure. It's a first run. We've been since we started the guild, there's been a lot of talk, and we've wanted to have our own beer festival or a series of beer festivals to not only support the nonprofit that is the guild, but to allow for all the Lancaster breweries to come together for another purpose for a festival like that. So this one it doesn't involve all the breweries. The venue that we secured is the Warehouse District Beer Garden, which can only accommodate like so many. So it was kind of it was going to be limited to 15, but we ultimately were able to squeeze 18 breweries on the ticket out of the 27 members. And that was kind of a first come, first serve, like just get back to us ASAP type of thing. we're trying to do our best to not create scenarios like this where like not everybody can 100% be involved. There's only so much we can do. So there will be other festivals that can accommodate other brewing members. But this, for the sake of getting this off the ground, this was a great opportunity for our first one. And Tyler, who's our recently voted in events chair for the board, Tyler works as an assistant brewer with Pim over at Mad Chef. And he's done a great job right out the gate, just taking the initiative and getting this to happen. Like, just, we're doing it, pushing forward, despite all the, occasional politics of board members and questions and concerns and all those things. He just made it happen, and it's great. It's sold out. I think it's going to be a great event, and it's going to kind of set the tone for what we can do event wise in the future. We have a lot in store for the guild being able to do more things for the community from an education standpoint, from an events standpoint, just trying to raise funds that we can use for thoughtful events to give back to the community and provide as much as we can, maybe eventually sponsorships or scholarships or training or further ramp certification. Like, we've talked about a lot of different ways where we can give back to the industry as a whole, not just the breweries and the community of customers or future brewers. So there's a lot going on, and we're excited about, like, every year the guild exists, we accomplish more and we figure out more things and we come up with more ideas, and there are more people getting involved and providing like amazing ideas that we can try to get into the mix and actually make happen. So it's really cool.
I do want to quick mention that Warehouse District Beer Garden is an awesome place to hang out over the summer. We went when the paranormal truck was there, but beers, there was live music going on. What a really, really cool space in Lancaster. But also the guild in Lancaster, I feel like is very unique in that you guys all truly support each other. Like, even just thinking back to your soft opening back in November, I felt like it was just a hangout for all the other local brewers and brewery owners. Like, everyone was just there having a good time, not only just so supportive of you, but just having so much fun hanging out. And I feel like, I know there are guilds in other areas, but I just feel like this one is so special. Just the way that all of you support each other and attend your events and do things together. It's just, I hope that as an outsider, it's just as warm and fuzzy as it appears to be on the inside for you.
Absolutely. Like, it's great. I mean, we're all busy. We can't always make all of them, but a part of the soft open structure for us and many others before us is to try to make it on an evening, where others are able to make it. Obviously, like, the weekend schedule is busy for everybody, and that's the hardest, but we send it out there and everybody shows up. We will be hosting the next countywide collaboration here in April for the guild. So I'm kind of stoked about that. Starting to put the plans together for that. So we have some good beer lined up. That's another opportunity where on a Tuesday, 27 breweries all converge in one place, and we socialize, network, share some beers, have some food, and brew a beer and kind of enjoy the day. So really blessed to be able to do that.
Warm and fuzzy.
And fuzzy.
Everybody supports everybody for the most part. I mean, we have our moments, and we care so deeply about this culture and this industry and the quality that is coming from this industry. We have serious conversations. We don't always agree. And I love that, because if everybody was just agreeing all the time, you wouldn't you wouldn't have progress. You wouldn't have conversations that lead to people being ultimately better or learning from each other. And so every time I celebrate the times where we might have some tough conversations or some disagreements, because we know that in the end, something good is going to come of it for the most part. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Well, and the beer world hasn't been so warm and fuzzy as it once was in the last few years. And it's nice to be reminded that camaraderie and that fellowship does still exist in pockets of the beer world. And, I've been very mindful with hanging out with some people over the last few weeks that I haven't gotten to see in a while. And I was also reminded of how many close friends I have now that I've met through beer, and just a reminder of the positivity that the beer world does still have and has presented, to remind you that the world is not always negative and it's not always bad stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of happy things, would you like to play a game?
Is it time to play a game?
Ooh, it's a game time.
It's like Face Off, one-on-one.
Let's hope it's not like Face Off, please.
No.
Sure, let's play a game. This is going to be interesting. I don't know if we've ever done a head-to-head Happy Fun Time game before with only 2 contestants. I don't know how much it doesn't really change much of the dynamics.
Wait, are you not playing?
No, I host. I know all the answers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could play. I could pretend I don't know the answers and just win.
No pressure, Steph. You're probably going to win.
I don't know. I
never win these things.
I've been on a bit of a winning streak, but that doesn't usually mean anything.
Yeah, I feel like, has Dan been on a bit of a losing streak? I feel like he has been, but I feel like that might not actually be backed up by the facts. I think I might just be making that up.
I'm sure if you look at all 264 episodes, I'm sure Dan has the winning streak over me, but I'll take my little bit of luck that I've had recently. I'm still
waiting for some random person out there on the internet to just come forward with all the stats for every game we've ever done. I don't think we have a fan that's that obsessive, unfortunately.
I don't think I want to see that data.
I'd be really curious to see it. Make charts out of it and everything. That'd be fun. Anyway. Yeah. Data visualization is exciting. Cheers, Internet. And welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the podcast trivia segment that has definitely done this before. Today, we are playing a game I don't think we've played for a little bit. We are playing a game called There's Weird in My Beer. So this is a game where I will tell you a little bit about a beer that has a bizarre, unusual, strange ingredient in it, and I will give you 3 multiple choice options to guess what the weird is in each beer. And today we return once again to the ever fruitful Strange Brews Fest in Reno, Nevada for all of today's bizarre brews. This event is an annual celebration of uniquely crafted brews from local and regional breweries in the Reno area. And it just so happens this is not I just happened to see this. The 2024 Strange Brew Fest is coming up on May 18th. So you may be able to still get tickets. I'm not being paid to say this, but if you go, you may taste something that might end up on a future episode of Happy Fun Time Games. And There's Weird in My Beer. Without any further preamble, we will begin in a very unusual fashion with Steph, since Dan is not here, for the first beer of the game. First up, a beer that falls into the broad and rather generic category of spiced or herbed beer.
As someone that likes to make pepper beers, I'm very familiar with that category.
Yes. And it is the category that all beers that would otherwise be labeled stunt beer get thrown into.
Yeah.
But snark aside, this one sounds pretty good. I will tell you, it contains lactose, and it does not contain hot dogs. Otherwise, this brew contains something you might hear someone on the Food Network refer to as elevated. Is it lavender lemon sorbet, orange rosemary ice cream, or cilantro and banana milk?
What's the actual fuck? Okay, if you're
that wasn't one of the options.
If you're gonna put lactose in it, I don't know why you would bother with banana milk.
Stumper.
What the rosemary one?
The rosemary one, option B. All right. After much deliberation, Steph chooses option B. Adam, what do you think?
I'm going with the banana milk.
Oh, going for the banana milk.
I'll take the risk. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out.
It's probably the lavender lemon.
The risk does not reward you this time. Steph was correct.
Oh!
Orange rosemary ice cream. This one comes from 10 Tour Distilling and Brewing, makers of vacuum distilled spirits, precision crafted beers, and all natural canned cocktails. This is called Orange You Glad We Didn't Make a Fucking Hot Dog Beer.
Oh, that's where the hot dog comes from.
I told you it definitely didn't have hot dogs in it. Orange rosemary ice cream. That sounds good. I would try that. I would try the ice cream. I would try the beer.
Yeah, I would try the ice cream. I don't know that I want it in a beer.
I'd try it in a beer. I don't know if it would be good, but the ice cream.
Not with lactose. As soon as you told lactose with orange and rosemary, I guess because it's ice cream. Like you could make a really good like a cream ale or a wheat beer that
you could just put orange and rosemary in a cream ale.
Yeah, that would be delightful.
Yeah, it probably would be delightful. But that's not what they did.
I make a good cocktail too. Gin and orange juice and a sprig of rosemary. I'd drink that.
That sounds really good. That sounds like a cocktail I had on my bachelor party night. I don't remember what it was, but there was a sprig of rosemary in it.
Okay, congrats, Steph.
We just wanted to belabor the fact that Steph got that one right. All right, moving on. Next, another beer, also from 10 Tour, and another mysteriously labeled as spiced/herbed. It definitely has at least one spice in it. It also has 10 pounds of candy that is related to that aforementioned spice. Is it Boston baked beans, candy canes, or atomic fireballs? Adam, you're up.
I'm a Boston guy, so I'm going to go with the Boston baked beans.
Wait, is that a candy?
That is a candy. The candy, not the actual baked beans. The candy that is called Boston
Obviously.
baked beans.
What do Boston baked beans, the candy, what do they taste like?
Are you supposed to answer this question?
Well, I feel like I will defer to
Are they
you,
like jelly beans?
because you answering that question will give her an edge over you as her competitor. So that's entirely up to you.
No, he can answer after. Well, I feel like I should pick something different. It's no fun if you're playing one-on-one and you pick the same thing. So the other ones were the atomic spicy things, and what was the other one?
Candy canes.
Candy cane. When is this fest? In May? Ain't nobody putting candy canes in a beer in May. I'll go with the spicy balls.
She's probably right.
She is right. The spicy balls was the correct answer.
Okay, hold on. Before you tell us more about that beer, I need to know about Boston baked beans.
Boston baked beans are candy coated peanuts, and I made the mistake because he said that there was a spice involved.
Yeah,
and there's no spice involved with Boston baked beans, so it's my fault.
It's kind of like not like I'm seeing a picture of them. Okay.
They're candy.
So the candy coating kind of makes them look like an actual baked.
Yeah,
bean.
they're like a hard candy shell on top of a peanut.
So I imagine the flavor profile is mostly the peanut.
It's kind of like peanut M&Ms without the chocolate.
Oh, well, that's boring.
But way more candy.
Yeah.
Way more candy.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had them.
The reason I was compelled to add them to this list is because when I was a kid, I thought they tasted the same as like hot tamales, just based on the way they looked. So in my head, they were the same flavor as atomic fireballs when I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny."
Did you have them as a kid?
No, I never had them as a kid.
Okay.
I just assumed
because I was going to say, well, how would you have had them and I didn't have them?
Yeah, I never did. I don't like spicy cinnamon candy. I never have, so I never tried them because I thought that's what they were.
Because you thought that's what they were. But the spicy candy is the one that won this round. So tell us about that beer.
Yes, so 10 Tour put 10 pounds of atomic fireballs into the 7.3% ABV ale known as Great Balls of Fire, and that is balls with a Z.
Of course.
The spice, of course, was cinnamon. It also has habaneros because peppers.
See? A spicy beer. That must have cost a lot of money to buy 10 pounds of those.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's candy, so it's probably cheap.
Yeah. 10 pounds, $80.
Yeah.
You think that's it?
I mean, how many places can you go where the candy is like $7.99 a pound? And we're thinking wholesale. I don't know.
Oh, well, true.
I don't know,
Yeah, if you get it wholesale.
8 to 10, $12 a pound. I don't know.
It still seems like an expensive ingredient for what it is.
Almost all the beers that come to this fest are like one-offs that they make for the festival, which is cool, but also annoying because they don't usually bother to put them on Untapped, or if they do, they don't bother to put any description. So I have to find the ones I can actually find some information about to choose, because there's lots of really.
And now you've got podcasts in Pennsylvania spending time talking about it.
Exactly, right?
So the return on investment is pretty good for the 10 pounds or whatever of
that is
check
true.
Spicy balls.
That is true.
That is.
10 pounds of spicy balls. Yes.
Spicy fireballs or whatever.
But if any brewers in Reno or the greater Reno area who are take beers to this festival are listening, may I encourage you to put more information about these beers on the internet, not necessarily Untapped, but probably Untapped, so that when I make these games, I have more to talk about. Please and thank you.
I also forgot that these are individually wrapped.
Oh, they are, right? That's true. They are. They're in the little, they're...
Even in the bulk containers, they're individual. Like, I certainly hope they found a wholesale way to buy these where they're not individually wrapped. Can you imagine?
No, everybody just unwrapped them.
10 pounds?
They probably had a day at the brewery where people came in and unwrapped fireballs for free beer or something.
When we make our Berliner Weiss, the tropical punch, we are unwrapping small packets of Kool-Aid in mass.
Dude, you can buy it in a huge jug, right?
No, that has sugar involved.
Oh, that already has sugar in it.
Yeah, I want just the flavor, not the sugar. Now, I'm sure I could probably buy it by the bucket, but I choose to buy it by the 11-gram packet. and I'm using a reasonable amount of packets for one single keg, so I'm not going to divulge.
You don't want to give your equation away.
Made with love.
If anybody wants to message us and ask, I will tell them what the rate is. But it's embarrassing how many of those packets we have to tear open and dump into it. Anyways,
worth the effort.
Worth the effort.
All right. What's the next question I can get wrong?
We have come to our penultimate beer of the game. And we are moving on from 10 Tour, and we move to Wonder Ale Works and a 7.5% ABV red ale that has a historical background. Based on a meal that the New York Times called, quote, a thrifty and unacknowledged American classic, this ale contains an unlikely pairing of ingredients. Is it pickles and peanut butter, Spam and honey, or Miracle Whip and mushrooms?
What the?
Beer up.
What? Oh my god. I'm stuck on Miracle Whip and mushrooms. I can't even remember the other things you said because now my brain is like, why would you put Miracle Whip in a beer?
It was pickles and peanut butter, or Spam and honey, or Miracle Whip and mushroom.
I'm going to go with Spam and honey.
All right. Going with Spam and honey.
Salty and sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of your description, too.
Agree or disagree, Adam?
Pickles and peanut butter.
Going with...
That was my first thought, too.
Well, you should have went with it because that is the correct answer.
I got one.
Adam finally scores a point. This is called Sticky Picky. And that's what it's called. Wonder Ale Works says, yes, peanut butter and pickle sandwiches are a thing. During the Great Depression, many Americans were living day to day and looking to lower expenses any way they could. Bread was relatively cheap to make, and peanut butter and pickles were inexpensive and plentiful, so they became a popular combination at Depression-era lunch counters. Some people really enjoyed them, and the sandwich persists to this day and is now available in beer form.
What kind of pickles? Like dill pickles or bread and butter pickles?
I don't know, actually. That's an interesting question. I prefer dill pickles, personally. I think that would be
by
the better
far.
choice.
Right, but for the purpose of balance of flavors with the peanut butter, I'm curious. I would assume they probably went bread and butter pickles.
See, I'm thinking bread and butter, peanut butter, you're kind of doing sweet on sweet. So you could do the dill which is kind of like a sweet salty almost. You get the sweet vinegar, sweet tang. I don't know. We should try it.
I'd be up for it.
Yeah. I like peanut butters and I like pickles.
Me too. I never thought I would have them together. Sweet gherkins, apparently, if you Google it.
Oh, is that the traditional recipe? I did not Google the traditional recipe.
Then others say dill. The internet does not know.
I'm sure. Well, it's also a Depression era like food of necessity, so it began with whatever pickles you could get.
Well, touche.
So,
or whatever you could make.
I'm sure different people have different pickle preferences to eat those sandwiches. We finally come to the final beer of the game. This is, of course, the point where we add up the score real quick to see where everybody stands, and this is a complicated scoreboard today, so you're going to have to give me a minute to crunch the numbers real quick, divide by 6, carry the 2, square root of -1. Steph has 2 points. Adam has 1 point. So the best Adam can hope to do is tie. So we're going to let Adam guess second so he gets to hear Steph's answer first for our final beer of the game. And it is another one from Wonder Ale Works. It is a 5% ABV fruited sour. It includes passion fruit as well as a sprinkling of magic and homage to the brewer's home state of Nevada. Steph, is it steak and eggs, shrimp cocktail, or prickly pear?
That was not where I thought you were going with this at all. Well, prickly pear does not seem like an unusual ingredient. What? Steak and eggs, and what was the other one?
Shrimp cocktail.
No. I mean, prickly pear makes the most sense, but is that weird enough? I guess steak and eggs? I don't fucking know.
Going with steak and eggs. Steph is going with steak.
How do you sprinkle that into the beer? Sprinkling, I was thinking like glitter or like gold dust. That's where my brain was going. And then you're like, steak and eggs?
I will specify the sprinkling is very much metaphorical.
Obviously.
What was the other? Oh, passion fruit?
Yes, passion fruit is in the beer. That was verified in the description.
I'm not sure that helps you though, knowing that.
No. It doesn't seem very extreme unless you do pick something like... Was it steak and eggs? What was the other one?
Shrimp cocktail. Or prickly pear.
That's not Nevada.
Wayne's fucking with us.
You know what? Fine. I'll go prickly pear. I'll take that risk.
Well, it's good you did, because you now have tied the game. It is, in fact, prickly pear, which, is not that weird.
Blasphemous.
That one was meant to be a gimme, but it was funny because it was so not unusual that you assumed that just wasn't the right
Well, you hear Nevada, you think like cactus, and you're just like, okay, well, prickly pear, let's just go with that. And it's like blatantly obvious, but you're like second guessing it because of,
The truth of the matter was I could not come up with 2 other options that I was happy with, so I just came up with 2 completely ridiculous options. And apparently the shrimp cocktail was invented in Las Vegas, according to some people. So there is.
According to some people.
And the cheeseburger was connected in Connecticut, and according to some people.
According to some.
It was invented in,
And potato chips and chocolate chip cookies.
But
in case you didn't know, the state of Nevada is home to no less than 7 prevalent species of prickly pear cactus, and the arid ecosystem is perfect for the proliferation of these cacti. This fruit has flavors reminiscent of watermelon and underripe strawberry with earthy undertones and floral aromas. But I mentioned aromas. I think I said romans. I mentioned magic. Where is the magic? This beer is called the Prickly Pear Pixie. And apparently, these cacti are rumored to mark territories protected by pixies, which is something I had never heard of. Rich in magic, these tiny, mischievous, fairy-like creatures have an affinity for casting charms that both enhance nature and affect human behavior. Their most notable supernatural enterprise is the sprinkling of pixie dust, which can bring good luck, cause plants to grow more quickly, make your taste buds tingle, or grant the ability to fly. Now, the brewery is quick to follow up with the disclaimer, humans cannot fly. Ever, so please do not attempt to do so. If you'd like to wear a cape and make whooshing noises, however, we'll allow it. Prickly pear pixies. And so
I feel like the description was more unique than the ingredients in the beer.
It definitely was. So I don't know if this counts as a German sparkle party because it's only a two-way tie. So we'll call it a German jaunt down the street. It's tied with 2 points apiece, a 50% hit rate for each of our contestants today. Steph and Adam, thank you so much for playing. This is, of course, the part of the podcast where we shout out to our most generous patrons on Patreon. We would like to thank the following individuals very sincerely, beginning with Jen McDonald.
Hey, Dr. Pepper's fucking fantastic.
Eric Dixon.
Who doesn't love Happy Fun Time?
Dana.
Nah, that's a solid pepper.
James Lamberg. Chris Mahoney.
Jelly beans.
Sean Sullivan.
Eat that food.
Brian Mills.
It's civilized.
Jill Chivers.
I like toots.
The one and only That's No Baloney, Joe Mansell.
Oh, my Lanta.
Topher Simmons.
And the pickles.
And Ben Mangle.
Good job, patrons.
If you want to find out how you can get your name on this list and get other cool behind the scenes perks, go to patreon.com/beerbusters.
I like There's Weird in My Beer. That's a good game, but it makes me overanalyze and overthink. So that's why I'm not good at it.
I will admit the prickly pear was not super weird. I will give you that. But it allowed Adam the opportunity to tie the game. So I am happy that it ended. I like when it ends in a tie. Everybody
Me too.
wanted to pick that though, Steph.
It's the only one that made any sense.
I know. Then what you could have picked it.
I know.
Yeah.
You could have picked it.
What are you sipping on there? Am I the only one enjoying a beer right now? I feel like
Yeah, I was drinking a mixture of tonic water with a shrub we picked up at Wallace Dry Goods. It was watermelon and cucumber and jalapeno. Honeydew and jalapeno. We'll get there eventually.
Okay.
And just the tonic with the shrub was a little sweet, so we added a little ginger water on, sparkling ginger, and that made it very nice.
I've recently discovered hop water, so that's what I've been drinking.
I love hop water.
Very cool.
Blood orange is my favorite flavor.
Grapefruit's better.
Haven't had that one.
What are you drinking, Adam? Because you're no longer drinking the stuff from the Tripel.
No, just Vox Pilsner.
Just. That beer is amazing. Don't ever put just the word "just" in front of it.
Switched from the Tripel to the more sessionable evening lager.
Step down a little bit.
Check pills.
Can you make a light lager and call it "just"?
We could.
I'll have a just.
Light lager.
Just light lager.
I'll have a just light lager.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll work on that right away. Straight away.
Perfect. It'll be my go-to beer.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be the first time I named a light lager in Lancaster.
There you go.
Apparently that's a special talent I have. I'll put it on my resume.
Oh, yeah?
Podcaster and names light lagers.
Care to share?
Johnny Doe.
Johnny Doe.
That was yours. Oh, congrats. That's an iconic beer in Lancaster County.
Yeah.
And you named it. I learned something new today.
On the podcast, no less.
Yeah, we named a few beers on the podcast. We named Rent Check. Is that Stolen Sun?
I forgot about that.
It was an IPA.
And Dan created Bloody Moose for Oakbrook.
Oh, yeah, the black.
I don't remember if he also named it Bloody Moose, but it was a combination of their habanero beer and the stout. I don't even remember.
Yeah, because it was like a chocolate stout because it was like chocolate orange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we invented that at Brewphoria at Canal Street.
So should I call it just or should I call it just a?
Oh,
and then
I like just.
I like just because
just lager.
It's also a good song.
Okay.
I'll have just.
Don't steal that, anybody.
I know. The thing is, when we have these good ideas, you have to like enact them in the time between recording and episode release.
Oh yeah,
somebody else in the world hears it.
I'm like, okay, so I just need to throw some corn, rice, and 2-row barley into a kettle as soon as possible.
Yes,
I'm on my way over. I'll help.
You should come over here with us, Steph. There you go.
You
should get to brew one of the beers you come up with the name for.
That is
true.
know
if we do that, we're going to shout out you in Beer Busters because of the name. You know that.
Well,
We mentioned boobies.
We don't
earlier.
take credit for other people's work here.
What was the name of the beer we brewed at Boobies?
Habanero.
Habanero. That was it.
That was a good beer.
Yeah.
They had the box of habaneros, and Steve maybe said to me, how many should we put in? And I looked at him and I was like, the whole box?
All of them?
Duh. What do you mean? How many are we going to put in? So we roasted all of them. And then I had the big like commercial blender that I'm blending them in. And then when we tried it, they were like, yep, all of them. That was the way to go.
Was the way to go. There's a video of that on YouTube.
Yeah. We were much younger then.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a while ago.
And we let Dan squeegee. That was about it.
Dan squeegeed.
That
was when we learned that was Dan's skill.
Yeah.
I think my favorite beer name as of late, simply because nobody else, like when we searched it, there was 0 people who have named a beer this. Too Good for the Garrison.
Too Good for the Garrison.
Any of you fans of Peaky Blinders?
Nope.
Oh my God.
Didn't catch that reference.
Oh
sorry.
Man. Okay. So there are 2 people in this world. People who love Peaky Blinders and people who have never seen Peaky Blinders.
Fair.
So if you watch that show, keep your ear out for the reference.
Okay.
How does one watch?
It's one of those if you know situations, but we enjoy it.
Isn't it on Hulu or Netflix? It's on one of them.
It's on Netflix.
Oppenheimer's in it.
Cillian Murphy is amazing. Tom Hardy is in that. The cast is just, it's incredible. It's a very well done series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I've heard people talk really well about it, but
they're not paying me to say this. So
oh, you're not being paid by Netflix.
None of us get.
I don't think Netflix needs us to promote them.
Yeah, probably not. No, they're just like, hey, pay your tab. Anyways,
don't share your password.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say, Adam, I'm really glad that I ran into you in the parking lot the other week when you were on your way back from the Kennett Square Beer Fest, because that's what prompted me and said, you know what? We haven't talked to Adam in a while. And I'm really glad that we were able to have you on the show again, because it's been really great to catch up. I'm really enjoying the new space. The beers have been top notch. So
I
thanks for chatting with us.
Thank you. No, and again, it wasn't a strategy. I pulled in, I saw you guys. I'm like, oh no, they're leaving, and I just got here. I have to at least roll my window down and say, hey, thanks for coming, and we appreciate it. So I'm glad this worked out, and I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to have you back and hear about all the cool things that have been happening at Cartel and the cool things that are going to continue to happen. If people want to keep up with what's going on at Cartel, where's the best place for them to follow along with you guys?
We are still primarily just Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram is at Cartel Brewing. Facebook is the same. It is facebook.com/Cartel Brewing is the handle there. You can follow us. You can come find us. We are working on a new website concept that's pending to reflect this beautiful establishment versus our old one. But for the time being, cartelbrewing.com is the website.
Very cool. And don't forget to check out the Lancaster Ale Trail we talked about, so you can get your cool hat when you complete that trail. And you can't go to the event that we talked about earlier. I don't even know if this episode's going to be out before that happens, but that was sold out. So nothing else to plug there.
But you look for the next.
But keep an eye out for all future Lancaster Brewers County Brewers Guild festivals, events, fun things to do, fun ways to connect all the wonderful brewers in Lancaster County to all the wonderful drinkers of the beer that is brewed in Lancaster County.
Exactly. And you can also find Beer Busters on the internet. You've heard us say it a million times. Just go to Google, type Beer Busters, and some of our stuff will come up. Please click on it and check it out. This, unfortunately, brings us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters. This has been a really great conversation that has once again expanded beyond beer, which is really cool and exciting. It's always nice to talk about things like we were talking about in what will be Last Call. We have unusual, we can plug today's Last Call before while the episode is still happening. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Thank you, Adam, so much for joining us. It was great to have you on the show again.
Thank you so much once again for having me. Appreciate you guys. And we look forward to the next time we can all raise a beer together.
Thank you. And thank you, co-host and brewologist Steph.
Are you going to say my name for me?
Is that
Steph
how it goes? That's
no,
your name.
I say my own name, damn it.
You say your own name. My name is Wayne Baker. This is the end of the episode. And remember, it's not the liquid in the glass. It's the people and the conversations and the other stuff that is very cool as well. I don't remember the exact quote. We'll see you next time.
You can re-record that next time.
Dan can dub his own voice in there.
It's better when it's wrong. Okay. But now
it's better when it's wrong.